I bought this novelization a few weeks ago, back when SCOOB, the Warner animation film, had been indefinitely postponed from its original May 15th release date. I noticed that they'd already released the novelization, so I thought, ooh, wouldn't it be funny if I bought it and read it and just spoil the whole movie for everyone before it even had a chance to come out in theaters. Then literally the next day, they announced that they were just going to release it digitally on the 15th. So then I was stuck with this book that I paid like $6 for. So I'm just gonna do it anyway. I was going to make a Scooby snack, but I sadly do not have any coconut rum. Instead, I just made a Midori sour. My theory is that the majority of the story is actually just going to be the childhood versions of these characters, like solving some kind of mystery, and then like in the second half or in the last third, they're gonna be adults and they're gonna be like on an alien ship. That's my theory. Let's go into it. Who wrote this? Adapted by David Lumen. Okay. Zoinks! Chapter 1. One beautiful sunny day at the beach, people were riding bikes, playing basketball, and flying kites in the ocean breeze. On the boardwalk, delicious Greek food was being sold at a stand called Alexander's Great Gyros. Sniff, sniff! A hungry puppy poked his nose up over the edge of the counter at the stand. It was too much for the little Great Dane to resist. He slid his paws across the counter and nabbed a whole big tube of gyro meat. Hey, you mangy mutt! Yikes! It just says yikes. But I'm presuming this is child Scooby. He took off, rolling on top of the tube of meat. Come back here! Teetering as he tried to keep his balance, the dog rolled along the crowded boardwalk on the meat tube, almost knocking people over. I love reading about slapstick comedy. Ruse me, he called. Rardon me! Wham! The dog rolled into the park bench and fell off the tube. He watched helplessly as the meat rolled straight into the ocean and sank. Blort. Blasting his siren, a cop on a bike rode up to a group of sunbathers. Did anyone see a stray dog roll by on a tube of compressed meat? Ruh-roh. This time they gave him the Scooby impression. The dog ran off and dove into a pile of sand. He got sand in his mouth and he spat it out. Patooey! He heard a voice nearby. I'm sure glad I found you guys. I was starting to think I would never have any friends. I think this is Shaggy, but I'm not sure yet. Peeking out of the sand pile, the dog saw the shaggy-haired kid sitting on a blanket. Like, today's gonna be a great day, the boy said. He didn't say like at the beginning. I'm just adding that in. But he wasn't talking to anyone. He'd sculpted some pretend friends out of sand, giving them seashells for eyes and seaweed for hair. Aw, Shaggy. At least until the tide comes in, man. The kid continued. Do you love my Shaggy voice? He was holding a sandwich. The dog spotted the sandwich. He crept over and popped up from behind one of the sand friends. Ah! Ah! But when he saw it was just a little dog, not much more than a puppy, the kid offered the dog half of his sandwich. The dog took a step back. Like, yeah, I get it. Nobody likes my sandwiches. Sniff, sniff. Is rat riverwurst? The dog asked, coming a step closer. Like, why, yes it is. But like, I gotta warn you, it's also got sour cream, cucumber, and dill. Did you put sauerkraut on it? Of course, the kid answered, looking a little offended. I'm not a monster. Sauerkraut gives the sandwich that umami. Exactly, the kid said, impressed that the dog knew about umami, a Japanese word that meant deliciousness, but was also the name of a fifth taste distinct from sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. They laughed, happy to have found each other. They bit into their halves of the sandwich and loved it. Yum! They smiled at each other, instant friends. But their happy moment was interrupted by the angry bike cop yelling, Hold it! Run! This mangy stray has done enough damage for today, the cop announced. He's coming with me. This is just the scene from that trailer.
This mangy stray's coming with me.
He's not a stray.
Okay then, what's his name?
His name's Scooby.
Middle name?
Doobie?
Last name?
Do.
That Halloween, Shaggy and Scooby went trick-or-treating dressed as their two favorite comic book characters, Blue Falcon and Dino Mutt. Hey, that's those guys. By the end of the evening, Shaggy's pillowcase was stuffed with treats. Like, woohoo! Shaggy crowed. We hit almost every house in the neighborhood, man. Scooby pointed at an old, scary-looking home. What about that house, Raggy? Whenever Scooby tried to say his friend's name, it came out Raggy. So remember in the trailer, everyone was criticizing Frank Welker's Scooby voice as being like too clear.
I love it. I'll never take it off.
I don't know who wrote the screenplay that this novelization was based on, but if I had to guess, it just really seems like whoever wrote the script didn't even kind of think for a second about the fact that Scooby-Doo is a character who talks with an inflection that gives the R sound to the beginning of most words, because most of these sentences are so incredibly challenging to say in a Scooby voice. Shaggy looked where Scooby was pointing and shuddered. No way, bro. That's the Rigby house. It's haunted. Like, let's get out of here. They turned and ran, but they hadn't gotten very far when Chad and Chet, two bullies on skateboards, grabbed Shaggy's pillowcase full of candy and tossed it through the window of the Rigby house. Laughing, the bullies shoved Shaggy to the ground. Then a voice said, I think that's enough. The voice belonged to a strong-looking kid named Fred, who was wearing a knight costume. He was with his two friends, Velma and Daphne. Velma wore a black robe and carried a gavel, while Daphne was dressed as Wonder Woman. Are you guys all right? Yeah, Shaggy said. They just hurt my pride and my tailbone. Let me give you a hand. I'm Fred. This is Velma. Hi. And that's Daphne. Hey. I don't have a Daphne voice. I'm Shaggy, and this is Scooby-Doo. Nice to meet you. He licked Daphne's face. She giggled. Cool Wonder Woman costume. He turned to Velma. And you are Harry Potter? What? I'm Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Obviously. Huh? Shaggy said, not recognizing the name of the Supreme Court judge. Is she a wizard? She is a wizard, Velma said, nodding. A wizard of justice. Fred put his arm around Shaggy. Come on, he said. Let's go get your candy back. But those jerks tossed it into the Rigby house, Shaggy sputtered. It's haunted by a demon ghost. Demon Rose? I think the five of us can handle one silly ghost. Ghost or no ghost, it's Halloween. No one should go home without their candy. Okay, Shaggy said. We'll go in the haunted house this one time, but we're not gonna make a habit out of this. Right, Scoob? Right. Scooby strongly agreed. On the porch, Fred knocked. Knock, knock, knock. The door swung open and the gang stepped into the ancient, dusty house, which was filled with cobwebs, scuffed antiques, rickety furniture, and creepy statues. Jinkies! This living room feels more like a dying room, Daphne said. Good one, Daph. This is the tits. I'm gonna put some more lemon in this. Fred spotted the pillowcase full of candy on the floor. He picked it up and tossed it to Shaggy. Here you are, Shaggy. As soon as he had the pillowcase, Shaggy headed towards the front door with Scooby. Like, thanks a bunch, let's go. As the others began to follow them out, bang! They heard a crash behind them. They stopped and turned around, trying to see what had made the loud noise. Ruh-roh. Classic. It's the ghost. Guys, there is no such thing as ghosts. Daphne turned on her cell phone's flashlight and shined it around the room, stopping on a tall wooden cabinet. Her intelligent eyes sparkling, Velma slowly walked towards the cabinet. I think those are called glasses. I don't think this is like such a good idea. But Velma kept moving towards the cabinet. She reached her hand towards the knob and opened it, revealing a row of coats. Huh? She pushed the coats aside and walked into the cabinet, curious to see what was in there. Guys, check this out! The others followed her into the piece of old furniture. Shaggy and Scooby were the last to go in. They shared a look, encouraging each other to be brave. Then they stepped in. Ooh, I forgot to add this to my Goodreads. Be right back. I feel like this is gonna be my least read book of 2020. It doesn't even have an image. What other things has David Lumen wrote? He's written quite a bit of SpongeBob books. SpongeBob and the Princess, SpongeBob's Secret Valentine, a lot of SpongeBob joke books too. SpongeBob Joke Pants, SpongeBob's Book of Spooky Jokes. He's written the novelizations for a lot of SpongeBob episodes, like Where's Gary? SpongeBob Airpants, The Lost Episode, New Student Starfish. Wow. And he also wrote the Jurassic World Special Edition Junior novelization. I mean, mad respect. Get that SpongeBob bread, man. Where was I? The cabinet was a secret entrance to a storage room full of TVs, game consoles, computers, and appliances. These purses are really expensive. My mom says I can choose between one of these and going to college. Velma raised her finger and started to speak, but Daphne cut her off. Don't worry, I'll choose college. Shaggy started to pull out a brand new computer tablet still in its box. No way, Scooby, look at this. Do not touch. I have a feeling we've just stumbled upon some illegal activity. Roar! That's what it says. They all spun around and saw a giant demon ghost towering over them. Zoinks! Demon ghost! The ghost lunged forward, flying towards the gang with its claws out. Roar! They jumped out of the way and scrambled back through the cabinet. Wham! They slammed the door shut behind them and struggled to shove the cabinet in front of it. Daphne! Velma! Fred yelled. Get to the door. We'll try to hold the cabinet. So the demon ghost chases them around, and through some classic Scooby-Doo hijinks, they subdue it. Looking down at the tackled figure on the floor, Daphne noticed that the demon ghost was wearing something rubber over its face. Jeepers, it's a Halloween mask. She reached down to yank off the mask, revealing Mr. Rigby? I think we figured out what's going on in your haunted house, Velma said. Daphne held up her cell phone, showing Mr. Rigby the screen. And I've been live streaming this whole thing. All these thumbs downs and poop emojis tell me you're going to jail. They just came into this man's house. Ha! Rigby barked, looking back at the gang. Hey, that's Scooby's job. Stupid. I would have gotten away with this if it weren't for you meddling kids. Congratulations, everyone. We just proved this house wasn't haunted, and we busted a perp. And most of all, I got my candy back. Not bad for a bunch of kids, Daphne said. Fred grinned. Maybe we should do this again. Like, trick or treat together every year? No, Shaggy, Fred said. Solve mysteries. I like it. I'm in. Fred turned to Shaggy and Scooby. What do you say, guys? If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it together. Let's rue it. Like we're in. At that moment, the 5 of them became Mystery Inc. 10 years later. Oh, I guess my predictions were incorrect. 10 years later, the members of Mystery Inc. sat around a table in a diner. Grown up by then, the team had caught ghosts, mummies, vampires, monsters, aliens, phantoms, robots, cavemen, witches, werewolves, and zombies, usually exposing them as humans in disguise. All right, gang, Fred said. We're all here to solve our greatest mystery yet. What's next for Mystery Inc? Oh, I totally have the answer. Lunch! To figure out what our next move is, I invited an expert here to help us, and here he is. A man wearing a suit and carrying a laptop computer entered the diner. Velma waved, and he walked towards their table. Like, who's this guy? A team-building expert. We hired him to do an analysis of Mystery Inc. I've watched hours of tape on your little mystery gang. I know you better than you know yourselves. He's your tank, your muscle. Daphne's your people person. Velma's got the smarts and the technical savvy. And you two aren't even listening. You're eating a clownishly oversized sandwich. Sorry, man. Like you were saying. Numbers don't lie, the expert said firmly. I crunched the data and I failed to find anything tangible that Chin Whiskers or Talking Dog contribute to Mystery Inc. Okay, can I just say, this book seems to have chapter breaks at the most random moments. This scene isn't over. It just continues on the next page, but it's a new chapter. And this has happened basically every single chapter break, randomly in the middle of a scene. And you'd think that over here, this 10 years later would be the perfect time to have a chapter break. Daphne felt bad about the expert's blunt comments. Shaggy and Scooby are our best friends. Ah, yes. Friendship. I already don't remember what his voice was. You know why they call it friendship? Because ships sink. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have many more feelings to hurt in the name of good business. Shaggy and Scooby noticed that Fred, Velma, and Daphne were staring at them, concerned. Listen, Shaggy said, you're not actually going to listen to that guy, are you? Well, he is a highly respected expert in organizational efficiency. Is the plot of this just Shaggy and Scooby get fired? Also, when the guy was going through each and every member and saying what they contribute, saying that Fred contributes the brute strength and that Daphne is the people person, are very generous and charitable descriptions of what roles that they play. If you've watched any episodes of Scooby-Doo, you know the formula is always Fred comes up with a plan that inevitably does not work, and then usually some kind of hijink that Shaggy and Scooby-Doo accidentally thwart the plans of the bad guy. I mean, I guess we're coming up with this manufactured conflict where there's discontent within the folds of the Mystery Inc. group. But this feels a little forced. We'll see what they do with it. Like, we don't need this, Scoob, Shaggy said. Let's bounce. Yeah, we know when we're running. Meanwhile, kaboom! Lightning flashed in the clouds over Machu Picchu, the ancient ruins of an Incan city in Peru. 2 archaeologists wearing ponchos and carrying flashlights made their way down stone steps into the site of a dig. This is really it. Carla, the first archaeologist, said excitedly. We found him. Oh, don't tease me, Carla. The second archaeologist, Dr. Fitzhume, said warily. You've gotten my hopes up before. I think this character is supposed to be acting like very antagonistic, but I'm just gonna make him very polite. At the bottom of the stairs, they passed through a door that led to a large ancient chamber. Okay, so we cut to like an archaeological dig in Machu Picchu where one archaeologist is showing a new discovery to her boss, I guess. Look here, said Dr. Fitzhume. These murals show us everything we need to know. The skulls were hidden across the globe in 3 mystical places. If they were ever reunited, they would have to power if they were ever reunited, they would have to power to open the gates to the underworld. I think they meant have the power to open the gates to the underworld, but they didn't catch it. Why would anyone do that? Because beyond those gates lies a lost treasure. Once I have the key to open them, I will be the wealthiest man in history. Dr. Fitzhume, why are you being so dastardly? Oh boy. Because that's just who I am. He pulled off a mask, revealing his true face, the face of the villain Dick Dastardly Zwamp. I know of Dick Dastardly, but like I don't remember his voice. Let me look him up. I know that apparently with this movie they're trying to set up a like Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe, which like, oh, I know Dick Dastardly. Wacky Races.
It can't be! The finish line!
Got the voice down. He looked down at Carla and grinned an evil grin. Toodaloo! Is that a good Dick Dastardly? Chapter 6. Carla couldn't believe again, it's just the middle of the scene. Carla couldn't believe what she was seeing. Blue Falcon will stop you.
Let him try.
Dastardly scoff.
I'm the early bird this time. It's my turn to get the worm.
When they were inside, the leader Rotten jumped off and transformed back into a baby robot.
Listen up, you gold-plated pipsqueak. The skulls are useless to me without the key. I'm trusting you to proceed to phase 2. Operation Gimme Paw.
Okay, so now we cut back to Scooby and Shaggy in a different scene, but this time it's just a paragraph break in the middle of a chapter. Why? You could have just kept this part in chapter 5 and just, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Inside a bowling alley, Scooby held a paw over the hand dryer, getting ready to bowl. Shaggy pushed French fries around in a basket, brooding. You believe the nerd of that expert dude? He doesn't think we contribute to Mystery Inc.
What does Reno?
Shaggy stirred the paper cup of ketchup with a fry.
Like, yeah, you're right. If the other team members don't appreciate us, then who needs them? As long as we have each other, we'll be just fine on our own.
Scooby grabbed his ball from the automatic return and rolled it down the lane. Clock! It knocked down the 10th pin.
Yes!
But then the pin popped back up into place. Scooby shook his head in disbelief. When he stared down at the pin, he saw it had 2 little red eyes.
Rise! Raggy, look!
Shaggy turned to look. The eyes were gone.
The pin!
Scooby insisted.
It has rise! Oh, Scoob!
Shag said sympathetically.
Like, I know it feels like everyone's judging us today. Even the bowling pins. But don't freak out on me, bud.
I definitely thought they were going to make a joke about how Shaggy was eating fries, and that's what he thought Scooby was saying, but I'm sure in the movie Frank Welker just says eyes. Shaggy walked over to the ball return to get his ball and take his turn. His ball wasn't there. He pressed the ball return button. Nothing happened. Confused, Shaggy kept pressing the button. Balls were popping out of the returns at the other lanes, but not Scooby and Shaggy's. Finally, shwoom, their ball reappeared. Shaggy reached down for the ball, but it tried to bite him! Zoinks! Then all the balls and pins transformed into Rottens, looking like scorpions with metal fangs, green eyes, and taser tails. Like, what's going on? Moving as a coordinated pack, the Rottens attacked. I believe this part was also in the trailer. Dead end! When they looked back, the Rottens were cutting through the door with lasers.
Looks like this is goodbye, old buddy.
Just as the Rottens were about to reach them, foom! A blue tractor beam blazed down on Shaggy and Scooby. Ah! Scooby and Shaggy screamed as the beam lifted them into the air. Scooby and Shaggy landed on a hard floor. Shaggy helped his friend to his feet.
You okay, Scooby-Doo?
Okay, yeah, this is the Falcon Fury joke.
Look around, man! The clean, modern aesthetic, the cool blue color palette. We're in
IKEA.
the Falcon Fury! Did you say IKEA?
Zoosh.
A panel slid open and a woman in a high-tech uniform stepped out. "Gentlemen, welcome aboard," she said. "I'm Dee Dee Skies, pilot of the Falcon Fury." I think that's probably her.
Well, we're...
"Scooby and Shaggy," Dee Dee interrupted. "We know. Follow me." She turned and started walking briskly.
Who sent Rose robots? I'll bet it was that team-building expert.
Shaggy said.
So mean.
Dee Dee kept walking. "No, actually it's this guy named Dick Dastardly. He's trying to kill you."
Scoob! Somebody thinks we're important enough to kill.
"It's right to be wanted." At the end of the hall, Dee Dee opened a door and led them into the Falcon Fury's atrium, a super high-tech control center where crew members operated holographic displays. As they walked through the room, Shaggy and Scooby couldn't believe what they were seeing. "I know it's super cool in here, and I would totally let you guys press random buttons, but they told me we need to move." Suddenly, zoom! The ship went dark. "Now, seriously? We're doing this now?"
Is it him? Is it him?
"Yes," Dee Dee sighed. "He likes to make an entrance." "All right, it's daytime now." Smoke started to fill the room. A voice came over a speaker. "Ladies and gentlemen, since the dawn of time, the Falcon has been worshipped as a symbol of freedom and victory. Now a new kind of Falcon rules the sky." "Blue Falcon!" Shaggy and Scooby cried. Music played, spotlights swung around the room. Lasers lit up the fog. "DJ Blue Falcon!" The figure was big, tall, with broad shoulders and thick muscles. "Welcome to the Falcon Fury." Hang on. Turn on the lights." The lights snapped back on. "Where are my balloons, Dee Dee? When I say Falcon Fury, that's the cue for the balloons." "Keith, what's the deal up there, man?" The voice came over the speakers. "I missed the cue." "Anyway, welcome aboard. I'm Blue Falcon." "Row your rot." "Yeah, yes I am." "I told you he wasn't going to be the only one who noticed," Dee Dee said.
No. Blue Falcon's suit has a bigger red F on the chest, and it's way less scaly.
"Those aren't scales, they're feathers. It's called an upgrade. This ain't your daddy's Blue Falcon." A voice came from behind Blue Falcon. "In this case, it most certainly is not." Dino-Mutt stepped into view. "Allow me to introduce you to Blue Falcon's large adult son, Brian." I also don't know Dino-Mutt's voice, and the real reason I'm not looking it up now is because my laptop's way over there and I don't want to get up. So Dino-Mutt's just gonna have my voice. "Dino-Mutt!" Shaggy and Scooby exclaimed. "Oh, him you recognize."
Well, sure, man. Dino-Mutt is the dog wonder.
Bwat, bwat. A warning blasted through the ship. "Huh? Red alert." Dee Dee checked the hologram. "Oh no, it's Dastardly." They engage in like a space battle, I guess. And then the Falcon Fury escapes. So we escape our villain. Dastardly is collecting the 3 skulls of Cerberus so that he can open up a portal to take over the world or something. It does sound suspiciously like the exact plot of Rise of Skywalker. Like, I know MacGuffin is kind of an overused term. Feels like that's what's going to be our plot, which I'm not super looking forward to. Also, Dick Dastardly has a spaceship called the Mean Machine, which is cute. Later, Shaggy and Scooby followed Blue Falcon and Dino-Mutt down the ship's main hall. "Until we figure out what Dastardly wants with you," Dino-Mutt said, "I think it'd be safer if you joined us on our mission." "Rit would?" Scooby said doubtfully. "Did they just, like, make a movie called SCOOB to trick us into watching a Blue Falcon movie?" Ring, 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 ring," Blue Falcon said. He pretended to answer a phone. "Hello? Uh-huh. Yeah, of course. Guys, it's Adventure calling. It's for you." Shaggy pretended to take the phone from Blue Falcon.
"Hello, Adventure? Yes. Will you take my name and number off your list?"
Raggy, Scooby protested. "It's Roo Ralkin."
"Yeah, true,"
Shaggy admitted.
"And I guess joining this team would show our old team what they're missing."
He and Scooby looked at each other, then turned to Blue Falcon and said,
"We're in."
All right, so we're going back to the bowling alley. There was a scene where the rest of the Mystery Inc. gang heard over the radio that there was something going down at the bowling alley and they went to go help Shaggy and Scooby. I did not include it because I found it kind of boring to read. What happened? I don't know, Judy said. Judy is the owner of the bowling alley. She was also in that last scene I didn't read about. They seemed pretty bummed out. I guess their friends dumped them in a cold-hearted way or something, and then this blue light came down from the sky and beamed them up. Whoa. Shaggy and Scooby were taken? Yeah. I'd have to assume that if they were with their friends, they wouldn't have been kidnapped. Daphne, overcome with guilt and concern, gasped, I can't breathe. Whoever these friends are must be carrying a ton of guilt on their shoulders right now. Okay, can you skip the emotional punishment and describe the robots, please? Yeah, sure. They look like what's in this box. She pulled it out to show them. Inside was the rotten she'd smashed with a bowling ball. Fred, Velma, and Daphne peered into the box. Whoa. Judy let them take the broken robot with them. Back in the mystery machine, Velma inspected the damaged rotten. Guys, this thing is incredible. It's fully autonomous and capable of modifying its external appearance. Daphne leaned in to take a closer look at the mangled robot and spotted something. Ew, is that a hair? Velma put the hair into a high-tech device. It analyzed the hair and showed the results on a screen. Huh, she said. Traces of mustache oil, soil particles with a mix of arsenic, selenium, and sunblock? Ooh, this is interesting. Remember the joke about the mustache oil and the whiskey from the trailer? It's not in here.
Trace amounts of mustache oil, 12-year-old scotch.
Ugh. Is the bad guy my dad?
I've noticed in certain trailers they just cut out the part about the alcohol. I'm wondering if they cut it out in the movie too. That would be interesting. Let's see if the combination of these elements matches a geographical location. A match popped up on her computer. Bingo! Dastardly demolition. Per county records, the last known owner of this is this guy, Dick Dastardly. And he's got a long criminal record. Let's go get him. Fred hit the gas and the mystery machine peeled out. The broken rotten slid to the back of the van, and its eyes blinked open. Meanwhile, again, we're changing scene. I can't. Up in the mean machine, Dick Dastardly was addressing his rottens with the help of his main rotten lieutenant, the leader rotten. So, Dastardly said, was Operation Gimme Paw a failure? Yes. Of course it was a failure, because you failed me. Bleep, blorpy. Oh, sorry? You're sorry? You certainly are, and I thought my last sidekick was worthless. At least he had a backbone with fur and a wet nose. You're not a partner, you're a disgrace, a lemming, a boot-licking suck-up, if you're going to be a sniveling suck-face. Man, I'm gonna make Sniveling Suckface my new Twitter name. You might as well look the part. He jammed a small vacuum cleaner into Rotten's body. Then he turned to the other Rottens. Forget you mechanical morons. I'll fetch the key myself. It's time for Dastardly to take his rightful place. Center stage! On the Falcon Fury, Dee Dee and Dynamite scanned a hologram of Earth, searching for likely locations for the skulls. Blue Falcon stared at his phone. To find the second skull, Dee Dee explained, I'm searching every location with high fossil density. Brian, Dino Mutt barked, quit putting filters on your selfies and get in the game. Whoa, what do you think I'm doing? I'm putting my social media feelers out there, Dino Butt. Dee Dee made adjustments to her hologram of Earth. The supernatural energy in that skull would give off a specific heat signature. All we gotta do is locate that spot. A spot lit up on the hologram. Boom. The skull is in the Gobi Desert. Bant! Blue Falcon said, making a sound like a buzzer that tells someone their answer is wrong. Oh, like, eh. I thought Blue Falcon was just a chav. He held up his phone. Incorrect. I found out where the skull is, and it's not in the Gobi Desert. It's in Romania. Like, how do you know? I got a DM from one of my fans who gave me the location. Dee Dee looked doubtful. Sir, this could be a trap set by Dastardly. If it was a trap, why would Anonymous use his own name? Sir, we really should go to the Gobi Desert. I hear you. You make a valid point, but we're gonna do my thing, okay? To the cockpit. As the superhero strode decisively out of the room, Dino Mutt said, Brian, last time you listened to someone on the internet, you ended up in the hospital. Once they pumped the cinnamon out of me, I was fine. It didn't take the Falcon Fury long to fly to Romania. The ship landed in a spooky, deserted amusement park. Blue Falcon jumped out enthusiastically, followed much less enthusiastically by Dino Mutt. Scooby and Shaggy hung back, not wanting to leave the safety of the ship. The four of them walked past booths with scruffy old stuffed animals on the shelves. These were long abandoned prizes for carnival games, but as the friends passed by, the stuffed animals' eyes followed them.
Like, this amusement park isn't very amusing.
Raggy, look! It was a note. Shaggy, Dynamite, and Blue Falcon huddled around it. It's a clue, Blue Falcon said, excited. He read the note out loud. Ha ha ha. Look up. Okay, that's a good joke. That was funny. They looked up. The mean machine was passing overhead, holding on to a dragonfly rotten. Dick Dastardly flew out of it.
Oh, you delectable dim-witted do-gooders. You fell for my ambush.
Blue Falcon ran in one direction and Scooby and Shaggy ran in another, all pursued by Rottens. Dynamite radioed Dee Dee for help. She flew the Falcon Fury within rage, then began blasting the Dragonfly Rottens with lasers. Zwam! Zap! Zap! Okay, I'm skipping ahead for y'all to a point where Dick Dastardly has Shaggy and Scooby cornered.
Whoa, dude,
Shaggy said,
what do you want with us?
I don't care about you. You're not remotely important. It's the dog I need.
He aimed his weapon and fired a blast of energy. Choom! Shaggy was sent flying through the back wall and out of the arcade.
Raggy!
Here, doggy. I've got lovely treats for you.
Panicking, Scooby ran, sliding between Dastardly's legs. There's just like a lot of slapstick going on here.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo,
the villain said.
Where are you? Come now, don't be scared. I love dogs. I'm a dog person. I had a dog myself once. He was an ill-tempered brute with a ghastly underbite who stank and caused me endless headaches. But he's lost now.
Does he have a chip? Scooby asked. Runo, one of Ro's electronic chips?
Forget about him. It's all about you. You, my friend, are special.
Scooby looked puzzled. I'm not Reshel.
Oh, modesty, said the villain. Listen to you, a true sign of your nobility. No, Scooby, you see, within you lies a key.
I don't have your key.
No, you are the key. Join me, Scooby-Doo. I will show you how to harness your destiny and become the most important dog in the world.
No thanks, Dastardly. Pow! Dynamite suddenly appeared and pushed Dastardly back. Rhino-Mutt! Dynamite and Scooby zigzagged through the park at top speed, eventually reaching the runaway Ferris wheel.
Oh my gosh.
They had like a big slapstick chase scene through the amusement park. I didn't read it, just know that it happened. In the Falcon Fury's cargo bay, Dee Dee rushed in as Scooby's bumper car arrived. Welcome back, guys.
Dastardly said I was the key,
Scooby reported. Blue Falcon scratched Scooby behind the ears. I knew this guy was special from the moment he set foot on my ship. He turned to Shaggy. What did Dastardly say about you?
Like, I believe his exact words were, I don't care about you. You're not remotely important. And then he called me a waste of space.
Blue Falcon frowned. Not cool. But on the bright side, your friend is super important. Let's get this dog a hero suit. Oh wait, first we need to get our before shot. He quickly took a selfie of himself with Scooby, added a rainbow vomit filter, making it look as though they were both puking rainbows, and posted it on his social media sites. The photo immediately generated lots of likes and heart emojis. Dynamite walked off in a jealous huff, murmuring, if anyone needs me, I'll be tracking down the third skull of Cerberus. Scooby stood on a rotating platform in the Falcon Fury's suit pod as an imaging laser measured his body. Robotic arms sprayed Scooby with a foam that quickly hardened into the panels of his new suit. But when they reached his neck, the robot stopped and an alarm sounded. Doeet? Doeet? Doeet?
Like, what's wrong?
Looks like that old collar is in the way of the chest panel. Scooby looked down at the collar Shaggy had given him all those years before. He looked at Shaggy, who gave him a small nod. Reluctantly, Scooby took off his collar, and a robotic arm snatched it away from him. Then robotic arms applied the final pieces of his uniform. Another arm held up a mirror for Scooby. He liked what he saw.
Whoa, awesome.
Next year, every dog is gonna want to wear this costume.
What do you think, Raggy?
Forcing a smile, Shaggy said,
Like, looks great.
And then he walked away. Okay, we're on page 72 now. I'm just gonna give my thoughts so far. So when I said that it looks like they're just using Scooby-Doo to trick people into watching a Falcon Fury movie, that's so far definitely what it feels like. Like, Two thoughts. One, the stuff on the Falcon Fury with Dee Dee and Dynamut and Brian and his dad, it's actually some of the better written stuff. I think that their dynamic is very fun. I think that Dick Dastardly is kind of a cool return to those silly villains. But like, none of this stuff has anything to do with Scooby-Doo. That night, Fred drove the Mystery Machine with Daphne and Velma riding along. They all missed Shaggy and Scooby. Ding! Velma got an alert on her phone. She looked at it and was amazed to see the selfie Blue Falcon had taken with Scooby.
Jinkies! Scooby and Shaggy are with Falcon Force.
What? I'm so happy they're okay. Dwoot, dwoot, dwoot. A police siren blared behind them. Pull over! Okay guys, let me do the talking. My dad's best friend is a sheriff, so I know exactly what to say. The police officer walked up to the driver's window. Fred lowered it and said, "Good evening, officer." Then he got a look at the cop. She was gorgeous. Fred stared at her dumbstruck. Fred, say something. Hi. Oh my god, are we really doing this?
Do you kids have any idea how fast you were going?
Daphne decided to take over. Funny story, officer. We were rushing to capture this evil villain who we thought was trying to kill our friends.
Step out of the vehicle, all of you.
You've got to believe us, officer. This guy is really dangerous.
Ooh, dangerous. Sounds like he's what? A handsome guy?
Oh, no. Bulbous nose, huge chin.
But in a cool way?
What is happening? No, super gross way. Textbook creeper face.
How dare you?
The cop said, ripping off her mask. Oh, it was dastardly. I gave the cop like an ugly voice because I wanted to combat the like hot babe making man talk no joke. But it kind of backfired.
You have the right to remain silent, and everything you said about my face will be used against you in a court of claw.
A giant metal claw fastened onto the Mystery Machine and hoisted it into the sky. In the Falcon Fury's lab, Dee Dee and Dynamut studied a holographic globe. Wearing his new suit, Scooby watched them work. My satellite triangulation is picking up the location of the final Cerberus skull somewhere in the Arctic, Dynamut observed. I don't care about any of this. In the Mean Machine, the Rottens had locked Daphne, Velma, and Fred in a cell. Velma was using a bobby pin to pick the lock. Cough, cough, wheeze. They looked and saw the Rotten with the vacuum cleaner head. He was supposed to be guarding them, but he kept breaking into coughing fits. Poor little thing.
Daph, he's not on our side.
Ignoring Velma, Daphne knelt to get on the Rotten's level. Do you need help? It's okay, I want to help you. Reluctantly, the Rotten came closer. Achoo! Daphne reached through the bars and removed the front piece of the vacuum. Better? The Rotten took a deep breath. He could breathe. He hugged Daphne through the bars. Aw, you're welcome. Hey, do you think you could help us get out of here? Beep boop, the Rotten said, nodding vigorously. The little Rotten led them through the lower passages of the Mean Machine until they were directly under the platform where Dastardly stood. He was measuring the direction of the huge skull's beam of light and plotting a course.
Reveal your final brother to me. Your reunion is nigh.
He checked his compass and saw a location near the North Pole.
We have it. Set a course for Messick Mountain.
Messick Mountain, Velma whispered. Sounds important. The vacuum-headed Rotten pointed to a nearby door. They hurried through it and found their way to the ship's communication deck. I'm going to see if I can find a back door into Blue Falcon's communication systems, but I have no idea what I'm hacking into. Velma sparked two wires together. Zarp! In the Falcon Fury, Dynamut shivered. Velma's hacking was affecting him when she touched the wires again. Dynamut went haywire. I'm being hacked, he managed to say as his body lost control. Is Dynamut like a robot? His arms and legs shot out and weapons popped from his body and disappeared. Then Velma's voice came out of his mouth. Blue Falcon, come in, Blue Falcon. I repeat, this is an emergency. Dynamut slapped himself. I repeat, I've been hacked. Again, Velma's voice was heard. My name is Velma Dinkley. We're trying to reach our friends Scooby and Shaggy. We're prisoners of Dick Dastardly. Dee Dee put her mouth close to Dynamut's, talking straight into it, hoping Velma could hear her. Yikes! Where are you? I don't know, but we're headed towards a place called Messick Mountain. Dee Dee ran over the holographic globe and found Messick Mountain. That's close to a possible third hotspot. Dynamut shook and jerked, trying to expel Velma. The power of science compels you. Wait, just one more minute. Dynamut slapped himself again. Ugh, that was unpleasant. In the Mean Machine, Velma slammed down her tools. We lost the signal. Fred noticed something on the wall. A bunch of pictures with red yarn connecting them. Could it be Dastardly's evil plan? Whoa, Velma, check it! She approached and examined the pictures. It looks like Alexander the Great went looking for the lost treasure and used the paw of his dog, Peritas, to open the gates to the underworld. And this weirdo family tree thing connects that dog Peritas to his last living relative, Scooby-Doo? Oh my god, Scooby-Doo's a Palpatine. This is just the Rise of Skywalker.
Maybe that's why Dastardly wants him. He must think that Scooby can help him open the gate.
Okay, we also get like a sad backstory for how Dick Dastardly's dog Muttley apparently died in like a mining accident. Is Muttley gonna show up and save the day at the end? Is just another dog gonna show up and save the day at the end of this movie called Scoob?
Return the ladies to their cell, Dastardly told his rottens. The big guy stays with me.
Fred, what are you going to do with him?
Oh, I have grand plans for Freddy boy.
I know I can finish this in time, I just like don't want to. Dee Dee piloted the Falcon Fury over the Arctic as Dynamut navigated. I'm picking up the skull's heat signature. It's coming from deep inside the geothermal vent. Through the cockpit window, they could see a steaming crevice in the snow at the base of the huge mountain. Locking on, Dynamut said, but that entry point is super squeezy. You sure you got this? You should see me parallel park. These characters have like chemistry with each other, but again, this is a movie called Scoob. This feels like a red shirt Shaggy movie. The heat from the geothermal vents is creating a unique ecosystem. A pterodactyl flew by the window. The prehistoric creature made eye contact with Scooby. Roll. Can you lock onto the skull's location? Dee Dee asked. I don't think so, Dynamut said. Our tech seems to be on the fritz. Well, then we'll just have to go look for it on foot. On foot? Dee Dee landed the Falcon Fury on a sandy beach and lowered the ship's ramp. Blue Falcon, Dynamut, and Dee Dee headed down the ramp and into the jungle. Shaggy and Scooby stood at the top of the ramp, still inside the ship. Also, look, there's some pictures from the movie. A stray puppy without a name wants to share Shaggy's sandwich. It looks to be a very pretty film. Like, the animation looks really nice. Maybe that would help with the story. Scooby and I will stay then. No, Dynamut said firmly. Scooby-Doo is coming with us. Shaggy stepped defiantly in front of Scooby. Scooby and I stick together. Always have, always will. But Scooby was already headed down the ramp to join Falcon Force. Scooby-Doo looked back at the ramp at Shaggy, beckoning with his paw. Let's roll with them. What? Wagging his tail proudly, Scooby said, "Yeah, I'm the key." Who are you? First you whip off your collar and now you're what? Some kind of scoober hero. Some kind of superhero? No, scoober hero is better. You promised you'd never take it off. Rue gave me the nod. Extending his neck, Dynamut butted into their conversation. We really need to go. Rust, come with us. Us? Like, you're an us now? What happened to us? You need to choose. I'm staying on the ship. Are you staying with me or going with them? Rat risen fair. Choose. Scooby looked at Shaggy, thinking. Then he turned and walked down the ramp to Falcon Force. Good. Who needs ya? He stormed back into the ship. Shaggy headed into the lounge, muttering to himself. On the table, Scooby's collar lay with other items that were about to be thrown out. Shaggy picked it up, feeling heartbroken at first, then angry. He shoved the collar into his pocket. He was about to sit down when he heard a honk honk. Outside, he saw the mystery machine, and climbing out of the driver's seat, Fred? Shaggy! They hugged. Boy, am I glad to see you. Wait, how did you get here? Where are Daphne and Velma? Dastardly kidnapped us and was holding us captive on his super awesome ship, Fred said. Where's Scooby? This is Dastardly in disguise. Shaggy crossed his arms and looked annoyed. Shaggy's gonna turn to the dark side. Rue the chosen one, Raggy. I'm so over him. He's with his hero friends, looking for that stupid skull. Okay, so the Falcon Force are kidnapped by cave people. I don't think it matters. Cave people, but like, they can talk, and that's a joke. I don't care about this. Oh my gosh, so the cave people have the skull. The mystery machine blasted through the arena gates. Crash! Scooby, Dastardly's on his way. Raggy, hurry, we have to get out of here. We're in danger. Tell him, Fred. Tell them what? Fred asked, throwing a friendly arm around Shaggy. How you led me here? Or more specifically, how you led me to the third skull? Wait, what are you? And Scooby-Doo? Fred finished, squeezing Shaggy. You're hurting me! Red, why are you doing this? I have a treasure to collect, Fred explained. He flashed an evil grin, then ripped off his mask to reveal Dick Dastardly. What do you want, Dastardly? Dee Dee got down to business. Give me Scooby or the hippie gets scooped. You don't have to do this, Scoob. Let him roll. He marched forward, willing to hand himself over to Dastardly to save his friend. Scooby, no.
Good boy.
he told Scooby, pushing Shaggy aside and grabbing the Great Dane.
Oh, I almost forgot to take out the rubbish,
Dastardly said, snickering. A rotten brought Fred, Velma, and Daphne, bound and gagged, out to the edge of the ramp that led into the ship. Then Dastardly shoved them off the ship.
Ta-ta! See you all in Athens.
Then he laughed.
No, you won't, because the only way out is with a jet.
Raggy! Scooby!
When they got back to the Falcon Fury, they found that Dastardly had blown the wings off. Dee Dee examined the wreckage. The primary engine's destroyed. The thrusters are intact, but they're too small to launch the ship. So we're stuck here? Blue Falcon said. He pointed at Shaggy. Well, maybe if your little buddy didn't lead the bad guy right to us. Fred stepped between Blue Falcon and Shaggy and pushed Brian away. Hey, leave Shaggy alone. You know, none of us would be here if you hadn't stolen our friends in the first place. Some saving. Scooby-Doo has a first-class ticket to the apocalypse. Blue Falcon pointed 2 fingers at Fred. Don't you point at me. Don't you double point at me. Don't single point at me. I'll point at whoever I want to point at, Fred said. Shaggy climbed atop a boulder and threw his arms in the air. Stop! Stop it, all of you! You know when you're making a sandwich, and at first, none of the ingredients seem like they go together? Like roasted peppers and lime juice, horseradish and plantains, smoked turkey. The point is, sometimes the best sandwiches come from the most unlikely and rando ingredients. And that's what we are. A bunch of rando people thrown together. But if we can work with one another like a team, then we can turn this soggy sandwich into a hero sandwich. So what do you say we save Scooby-Doo? Who's with me? Long story short, they get it to work. They fly out of there. In Athens, tourists were happily visiting the ancient ruins of the Acropolis. I hope that's right. Suddenly, a shadow passed over them. They looked up and saw the gigantic mean machine. A hatch opened, and Rottens began to lower the 3 huge, leering skulls. Screaming, the tourists fled. Scooby watched from the airship.
I'm quite literally getting away with it. The only thing spoiling the moment is your ridiculous suit.
He turned to the Rottens and snapped his fingers with an order. Take it off. This is like that scene in Birds of Prey. Holding Scooby on a chain, Dastardly rode the claw down to Acropolis. Acropolis? The 3 skulls fit perfectly into designated spots on the ruined structure. When the 3rd skull was in place, they all began to glow. A green mist poured out of the skulls' mouths and wrapped around the ruins. The Acropolis, the acrimony, immediately rebuilt itself. The city was restored to its former ancient glory.
How long I've been waiting for this very moment.
The green mist parted, revealing massive carved gates. As green lightning crackled around them, the gates swung open, revealing a magic portal with a lock shaped like a dog's paw.
Give me your paw.
Row! Beep, beep. An alarm on the villain's watch was alerting him to an incoming danger. He looked at his watch and saw the mystery machine flying towards them.
I thought you meddling millennials were gone for good.
He turned to his Rottens.
Destroy those falcon fuels.
What?
Destroy those falcon fools.
Yada yada yada, big 3rd act fight sequence. Mystery machine blows up. That's sad. Dastardly pressed Scooby's paw against the lock. The magical portal glowed and slowly opened.
It's happening! And now to fetch my treasure.
So what was the threat here? I guess his whole plan was to just, I thought his plan was to open the gates of the underworld and just let a bunch of monsters out and then, rule the world using the monsters. I guess he just wanted, a petty treasure.
Because beyond those gates lies a lost treasure. Once I have the key to open them, I will be the wealthiest man in history.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Hold on. So Dastardly is laying atop his treasure trove, moving his arms and legs, making treasure angels.
Oh, I've done it. Unimaginable wealth. Oh, Muttley, if you could see me now.
A shadow ran by.
Muttley? Muttley, is that you? I was coming to find you next, honest. Now get out here.
So Muttley did fucking die. Okay, so the whole team in the midst of this big fight sequence are trying to close the gates and I guess just lock Dastardly in hell. At last they managed to close the 2 gates together. Boom. Yeah, Fred cheered. We did it.
Mission accomplished.
But Velma was studying a hieroglyphic on the gate. It showed a man and a dog pressing a hand and a paw against the lock pad.
Wait, she said. It's not enough to close the gates. We have to lock them.
Okay, so Cerberus, the giant dog from the underworld's there. More third act actions. The thing about like novelizations I've noticed, most movies that I've read the novelization for tend to have like a big epic third act action sequence. Extended action sequences are incredibly difficult to just write about. They tend to be incredibly either very, very boring or completely incoherent. Okay, so they're fighting the giant dog Cerberus. It's taking them way longer than necessary to realize that like the hieroglyph that shows a man and a dog locking the gate together means they need a man and a dog to lock the gate together.
Guys, Velma said, to lock the gates, we need a man and his dog, a noble pair.
That must be Dino Mutt and me, Blue Falcon said immodestly.
No, it's Scooby and Shaggy. But there's a catch. In order to lock the gates for good, Peritus has to be on the inside.
Oh no, they have to lock Scooby in hell. Okay, Shaggy said. So how do we lock these puppies up? What?
Alexander held the gate shut here, while Peritus stayed behind in the underworld.
Am I saying all these right? I don't think so.
What? No! There has to be another way, right, Velma?
Oh.
Where is row ruther way? Rhyme the key. I love you, Raggy. It says one of us had to be on the inside, Shaggy said. It doesn't say which one. Scoob, I can't let you do this. You are the best friend I could ever ask for. When I'm lonely, you keep me company. When I'm scared, you make me laugh. When I'm hungry, you make me something deliciously gross that only we like.
Tears filled Scooby's eyes.
You have been the key to the best times of my life. Now it's my turn.
He put his hand on the lock and was transported to the other side of the gates.
Row, Raggy!
Scooby cried. But Scooby realized he had no choice. He placed his paw on the gate and the portal to the underworld locked. The ground Okay. Thanks, Scoob. The ground trembled, and in a giant swirl of mystical energy, the Acropolis, the Acropta, returned to modern-day ruins. Scooby collapsed to his knees and howled. The others gathered around to comfort him, weeping, but then a magical light opened a small portal. Shaggy was tossed out of the ruins, landing on the ground.
Zoinks! What a day! Raggy! It spit me out!
This is the Rise of Skywalker. Fake out deaths and everything. But how?
I don't know,
Shaggy admitted, shrugging.
But it was seriously trippy.
The underworld rejected you.
Of course it did, Dino Mutt said dryly. A mismatch of quantum energies. It really tickles me that we're genuinely not going to get any explanation other than just a mismatch of quantum energies. Also, I guess Dick Dastardly got out of there too. Time to pay for your crimes, Dick Dastardly.
Or is it?
Shaggy asked. Dastardly pulled off his mask, revealing the team building expert? Wow, that's an impressive impersonation. Thanks. What was his voice? Thank you, the expert said. I was also the lead in my high school's production of Annie.
Wait a minute, this makes no sense. Why would that team-building expert want Muttley? And how could he do all those things, like build a giant flying mean machine?
She reached over and pulled off the expert's mask, revealing Dick Dastardly? That old chestnut?
I would have gotten away with it,
Dastardly growled,
if it weren't for you mismatched, meddling miscreants.
I do think that's kind of a funny bit, that it was really dastardly. However, it is very apparent that they just threw this in at the last minute as a concession to this story being a Scooby-Doo story that just straight up isn't a mystery in any way. Also, this is twice now in this story that they've done the whole meddling kids thing, but they didn't do the "and your mangy dog," because that seems like an oversight. I guess it's nitpicking. One morning, a few weeks later, Fred, Velma, and Daphne were putting their finishing touches on their new headquarters, Mystery Inc.'s Supernatural Mystery Solvers. Suddenly, an announcement came over the Mystery Machine's police scanner. All units, we have a missing person report in San Pedro. Last seen being dragged into the ocean mist by the ghost of an old sea captain.
Ghost?
Looks like we're on the case.
Let's hit it, Fred said. Daphne struck her head through the open door of their new place. Hey, Dusty, she called. Watch the shop, please. Inside, the little rotten with the vacuum cleaner head stopped spinning on a chair.
Did they put it back on his head? Bleep, bloop, bloop. Fred, Velma, and Daphne piled into the van and beckoned for Shaggy and Scooby to join them. The two pals looked for each other. What do you say, buddy? Let's Ruby-dooby-doo it. They high-fived and jumped in the new mystery machine, ready for their next big adventure. So that was Scoob, the junior novelization. Final thoughts. I do want to emphasize that this is a junior novelization, and even though I literally just went through the entire plot of the entire film, this is not a supplement for actually watching the film. Films have the benefit of a director's vision and performances and sound mixing and pacing and editing and animation. There is a chance that this movie could actually be quite enjoyable, maybe kind of fun and wacky. So I don't want to be too judgmental. My end thesis is that I wish there was more Scoob in Scoob. Also, doing a Shaggy voice for like 3 hours really hurts.